Why do you have confidence the offensive line is improving outside of play action pass protection was incredibly poor last season?
Hold on, let me get comfortable for this one. Logan, go ahead.
Wait, I was going to go back to that question. I was taking a transfer quarterback hurt y'all long run.
Yeah, I
don't
think it hurts with Milton because I think Milton is a much better quarterback than ever Golston ever was as a quarterback. I think what hurts is if, God forbid, I don't want this to happen, if he gets hurt against Notre Dame or if he gets hurt early on in the season and he's lost, you have to admit, Logan, it is a possibility. Mm-hmm. It could happen. We don't want it to happen, but it could happen. If that happens, then yes, it's another loss. But if he's able to play the full season, I think we'll be fine. Go ahead.
I don't. There's two playing factors in McKenzie Milton coming. So obviously we know what he was at UCF before his injury. Outstanding quarterback, could have been a Heisman finalist by far with the season he was having in his career that he's having. The thing for him, and going back to the question here, it's saying, is it taking a transfer quarterback hurt you on the long run? I don't think this is going to hurt Florida State. I think, if Trevor Purdy's, back, rolling with the program and things are good to go on his end, they're fine. Because the thing coming in with McKenzie Milton, he's not going to be a disturbance in this locker room. It's going to be more of helping these younger quarterbacks, giving great advice, being a leader in that locker room, being a winning quarterback, something Florida State hasn't seen in a long while, to have that kind of energy to come in and give great knowledge. I mean, there's no bad take in bringing in McKenzie Milton here. I don't think it's going to hurt Florida State. That's a good question, but I don't think it's going to hurt Florida State with having Milton in that locker room. It's not going to. This question about the offensive line improving outside of play action pass protection was incredibly poor last season. There was a lot of improvements for a multitude of guys. Number one, I think Devontae Love-Taylor, and we haven't been able to see him in scrimmages. It seems like he could play right now, in my opinion, but it seems like they just don't want to ruin anything more. He's still got rehab to go, but he seems like a highlight there on that offensive line that's doing good. Maurice Smith was an out of nowhere surprise that ended up being as an All-American last year, and is going to play starting center this upcoming season. There's guys, the multitude of these guys coming back played last year, which I think is going to be huge for Coach Atkins and getting this group together and moving forward. I think Coach Atkins is a very, very, very talented offensive line coach that won't be here in the next 2 to 3 years because of his knowledge and him being such a outstanding coach from people that we've heard all across the country. So I think this offensive line, there was solid pass protection last year. The main factor going into this, we talked about earlier, it goes to quarterbacks. Whenever you're not able to make your first reads, your first and second down read, or your first reads, they get antsy in the pocket and they're running around and getting out of there. Jordan Travis wasn't fully healthy. You're running around and getting out of the pocket. It plays a factor in what the offensive line looks like whenever there's sacks happening, there's QB hurries, whenever there's enough protection. That's something McKenzie Milton is good at. He's able to make his reads quickly and understand where these wide receivers are running while he was at UCF. I think there's going to be a big improvement step though heading into the season too. If it doesn't happen that way, then I'll chug a whole bottle of whiskey here live on YouTube. Because if there's not an improvement from last season with these guys coming back, this whole line coming back from last season, Devontae Love-Taylor deciding to come back for another year, then something's going wrong. I believe in Coach Atkins and where he's bringing this line.
Guys, real quick before we move on, let's have a moment of silence for BGPO Football Fund saying David Garrard and Jeff Blake are better quarterbacks than FSU's ever had.
I'll pour one out into my mouth for him. I'll pour one out into my mouth.
So those two are clearly the two best ECU quarterbacks of all time. Who would be the two greatest Florida State quarterbacks of all time? It's Jameis and Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward, Jameis Winston, okay. Chris Winkie, guys who won this thing called the Heisman Trophy.
That's three of them.
No ECU players ever been invited to the ceremony.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're better players, but I get the point.
Better players.
Yeah, it's not close. Yeah.